After Benjamin and I were reborn, we tacitly pretended not to know each other. He followed the class beauty to study at a university in another city, while I stayed in our hometown. With the advantage of living an extra lifetime, he quickly became a rising star in his industry and married the beauty, basking in glory. Meanwhile, I stayed with my parents, settling down comfortably in our old home. We met again at a class reunion 10 years later. He held the class beauty in his arms, smoking a cigar. He looked at me dressed simply and mocked, "Is this what you've become after 10 years?" I remained unmoved until a delayed business mogul wrapped his arm around me and said, "Sorry, my wife is pregnant, so I'd appreciate it if everyone refrained from smoking indoors." For the usually calm and composed Benjamin, panic was visible to the naked eye. He finally realized that after all these years apart, I wasn't trying to get back at him. My reunion with Benjamin happened 10 years later at a class gathering. As I pushed open the door to the private room, I heard someone inside teasing Benjamin, "You've really done well for yourself, haven't you? You even got the class beauty." Of course, just look at how well Benjamin is doing in the big city now, unlike us, just common folk. How can we compare with Mr. Song, the big boss? But I heard you and Isabella were rumored to be a thing back then. You two often studied together, and everyone in class said you were a couple. At that moment, I heard a familiar voice casually reply, "Just study partners, nothing more." I smiled indifferently. It's been 10 years since we were reborn, so there's no reason to feel anything anymore. So I calmly pushed open the door. Even after 10 years, I recognized Benjamin at a glance. He was sitting on the sofa, smoking a cigar, with Emma, the class beauty, nestled in his arms. The classmates surrounded them, fawning over the couple like stars in the sky. The moment I appeared, everyone's eyes turned to me. The class monitor quickly greeted me warmly, "Well, speak of the devil, Isabella, look who's here." Benjamin and I exchanged glances. He held Emma close, his eyes roaming over me with a hint of disdain. Today I was dressed simply and plainly. Considering I was pregnant, I didn't bother with makeup. I probably looked a bit tired and worn, no comparison to Emma. She was dressed in Chanel, carrying a Hermes bag, with a full face of makeup that made her look like she had been well pampered. I greeted them all graciously, "Long time no see." Benjamin nodded slightly, his attitude distant. Emma gave me only a faint smile, not wanting to be overly friendly. I turned and joined a few familiar classmates for a chat. "We're just missing Christopher," the class monitor suddenly said. "He just texted to say his flight was delayed, so we shouldn't wait for him." Everyone sat around the dining table. They all eagerly toasted Benjamin, raising him up high. After a few rounds of drinks, I went to the bathroom. As I was coming out, I ran into Benjamin, his face flushed from the alcohol. He sneered, "Isabella, is this what you've become in the 10 years since you left me?" I remained unmoved. I was suddenly reminded of what happened before we were reborn. Before our rebirth, Benjamin and I had a fierce argument on the highway. The cause was that after graduating from university, I had accompanied Benjamin to the big city, working hard together for a full 10 years. Now that our careers had seen some success, I wanted to return to our hometown. I'm an only child. Last year my father passed away due to a cerebral hemorrhage because he wasn't taken to the hospital in time, leaving only my mother at home. I couldn't stop worrying about her. Benjamin had promised me back then that once we earned enough money, we'd go back. But now he kept delaying, saying there's no future back home and it's not worth returning. He made it clear that he never wanted to go back. At most we could bring my mother here to live with us. But my mother had visited before and didn't adapt to the city, with no friends or relatives around. Not to mention, even after all these years, I didn't feel a sense of belonging in this city. I finally couldn't hold back and snapped at him, "If you won't go back, I'll go back myself." "Do you have to force me like this?" Benjamin questioned me. "What's so bad about staying in the city? Do you want to remain a country bumpkin all your life? Do you want our child to start life at a disadvantage?" I was 5 months pregnant at the time. Because of the pregnancy, I wanted to go back even more. I knew how hard it would be to leave a city once the child was born. Besides, our hometown wasn't bad at all, though not an international first-tier city. It was close enough, nothing like the bleak picture Benjamin painted. "So according to you, everyone who stays in a small city is useless?" "It's the useless people who are willing to eke out a living in small cities, muddling through life without ambition," Benjamin said disdainfully. "I despise such people the most. In your mind, am I such a person?" I sneered. I don't want you to become such a person, Benjamin replied righteously. Suddenly he added, had I known, I shouldn't have chosen to stay in our hometown for university with you back then. I wasted 4 years. I should have come here early with Emma to make my mark. Before graduating high school, Emma had confessed to him, but he rejected her. He and I had been study partners for 3 years and naturally developed feelings. But ever since he accompanied me in applying to our hometown university, he had repeated countless times over the past 14 years that he regretted it. Initially I thought he was just joking, perhaps he was indirectly telling me how much he liked me and how much he had sacrificed for me. Later I realized he truly regretted it. So after we had a car accident and unexpectedly we both reborn on the day of college application submissions, he unhesitatingly followed Emma to a university in another city. I stayed in our city. We both knew the other had been reborn, yet we tacitly didn't interfere with each other's choices. I thought we'd never cross paths again in this life. At this moment, seeing his demeanor, it was clear he was deliberately waiting for me. Seeing my silence, he mocked, now you finally understand what kind of progress you can make staying in your hometown? Look at yourself, then at our old classmates, has anyone done well? But even if you regret it now, it's too late. I've decided to marry Emma. He took out a sizable ring, the diamond was large, probably 5 carats, I could tell at a glance because it was slightly smaller than the one I had at home. He said, if you hadn't been so difficult, this ring would have been yours. Then congratulations to both of you, I replied indifferently. I walked past him directly. I could feel Benjamin's displeased gaze behind me. I didn't understand what he was unhappy about. He chose his own path, living the life he had dreamed of in his past life. Does he really need to see me regret to feel satisfied? I returned to my seat and my phone suddenly rang. Seeing the caller ID, I answered, have you landed? Yes, I'll be there shortly. If you're tired, maybe you shouldn't come, I can go back by myself later. How can I let my wife attend a reunion alone and go back by herself? I'll be there in 20 minutes. I smiled and didn't say more. Just as I put down my phone, someone approached me. Isabella, Emma came over holding a glass. Long time no see, let me toast to you. I should thank you, Emma said with a smile. Benjamin told me that if you hadn't been his study partner back then, he wouldn't have gotten into a top-tier university. No need for thanks, we just helped each other. Regardless, you contributed to Benjamin's current success. I toast to you on his behalf. As she spoke, she tried to pour beer into my glass. I don't drink, I declined. Just a little, ignoring my refusal, she proceeded to pour. I reached out to push her hand away. Ah! Emma suddenly screamed, beer spilled onto her clothes and bag. She hurriedly grabbed napkins to wipe, complaining, my clothes and bag can't get wet. Other classmates, aware of the high value of her outfit, looked at her nervously. After wiping for a while, Emma turned to me and said, Isabella, even if you're jealous of me, you shouldn't treat me like this. You've ruined my clothes and bag, can you afford to compensate? Before I could say anything, Benjamin walked over and angrily scolded, Isabella, you've gone too far. I didn't do it on purpose, I explained. It really wasn't intentional, and just now I barely even pushed the bottle. I was just stopping Emma from pouring the drink, but somehow the beer had spilled from her bottle onto her clothes. Just because I mentioned that Emma and I are getting married, you couldn't handle it, Benjamin mocked me in front of everyone. I know you've always had a soft spot for Benjamin. I was stunned. I looked at Emma, confused, what makes you think I still have feelings for Benjamin? Did I say something that made you misunderstand, or was it something about my expression or my eyes today? Isabella, stop pretending, Emma said confidently. Benjamin is doing so well now, there's no way you don't regret it. I don't regret it, I said clearly, enunciating every word. Everyone makes their own choices, and I'm very satisfied with my life now. Benjamin sneered, clearly not believing me. I didn't want to explain any further, there was nothing to explain. We were people with no connection anymore. Today's encounter was just an accident. If I had known Benjamin would be here, I might have avoided this gathering. It's not about holding on to anything, there's just no need to meet people from a past life. People from the past should stay in the past. I'll compensate you for the clothes and bag, I said, not wanting to argue anymore. Send me the price and your bank account details, and I'll transfer the money. Compensate? Benjamin cut in. Do you even know how much Emma's clothes and bag cost? The outfit is 150,000 yuan, the bag is 300,000 yuan, not including the accessories. I'll cut it down to 450,000 yuan for you. How are you going to pay for that? I took a deep breath. I reminded myself not to get angry at Benjamin's condescending attitude. The doctor said pregnant women should maintain a good mood. I'm not that petty. If you apologize sincerely to Emma, we can let it go, Benjamin said magnanimously. An apology isn't enough, Emma quickly added. You need to promise in front of all our classmates that you'll never have any inappropriate thoughts about Benjamin again. I laughed. I was so angry I found it amusing. Looking at Emma's arrogant demeanor, I picked up the half-empty beer bottle beside me. The doctor said pregnant women shouldn't get angry, but holding it in is worse. So slowly and deliberately, I poured the remaining beer all over Emma's clothes and bag. Emma was shocked. She stared at me in disbelief for a long moment before saying, Isabella, are you crazy? What are you doing? At the same time, Benjamin pulled Emma behind him and even pushed me. Thankfully, the class monitor quickly stepped in to protect me, standing between us to prevent Benjamin from doing something reckless. He tried to calm him down. Benjamin, don't get worked up. Isabella, do you think I'm being too lenient? Benjamin snarled, how dare you treat Emma like this? Who do you think you are? I don't need you to be lenient, nor do I think I'm anyone special. I'm just myself, I replied coldly. Then I added, since I've agreed to pay for it, those clothes and that bag are mine now. How I treat them is my business, what does it matter to you? Can you even afford it? Benjamin asked harshly. Give me the bank account, I said, enunciating each word. Are you really willing to go bankrupt just to spite me, Isabella? If you had controlled your stubborn temper earlier, we wouldn't be in this situation. Give me the bank account, I repeated, my voice firmer this time. Don't regret this, Benjamin warned. Benjamin, stop wasting time with her, Emma urged, fuming. If she's being so ungrateful, just give her the account number and see if she can actually pay. Without further hesitation, Benjamin rattled off a string of numbers. I entered the bank account details and tried to transfer the money, but the system notified me that my password was incorrect. I was sure that was the right password. I thought for a moment and tried another one, still wrong. I pressed my lips together. Was it really true that pregnancy makes you forgetful? Suddenly, I couldn't remember. Benjamin and Emma stood by waiting, while our classmates watched, clearly enjoying the spectacle. Seeing that I wasn't able to transfer the money, Emma smirked. Isabella, weren't you just acting so proud? Where's the money? Why hasn't anything shown up in Benjamin's account? Benjamin held his phone in his hand, watching, but there was no notification of a deposit. I forgot my password, I explained. I was worried that if I tried again, the account would get locked. How convenient, Emma sneered, dripping with sarcasm. Benjamin laughed disdainfully. The surrounding classmates whispered among themselves, I really thought Isabella was going to pay. I was already feeling sorry for her. Who would be that foolish? 450,000 yuan is half a house. Benjamin and Emma were willing to let it go, but Isabella just had to make it worse. Now she's really embarrassed, isn't she? So are you going to write an IOU? How long will it take you to pay it off? A year, 2 years, or a lifetime? Emma asked coldly. 10 minutes, I said flatly. Christopher should be here by then. Stop pretending, Isabella, you can't afford to. Emma said, clearly out of patience. You should have just apologized earlier, but now you'll have to get on your knees and beg me. Everyone was waiting to see me make a fool of myself, but at that moment, the door suddenly swung open, accompanied by a familiar voice, Sorry, I'm late. Christopher walked in. Everyone's attention turned toward him. He offered an apologetic smile, Sorry for being late, my flight was delayed. With that, he walked straight over to me. He took in the scene and noticed something was off. What's going on? It's just a small misunderstanding. The class monitor quickly tried to smooth things over. Turning to Emma and Benjamin, we're all classmates, there's no need to make things so tense. Can't you just give me a bit of face? Class monitor, it's not about that, it's that Isabella doesn't know her place, Emma said arrogantly. I wasn't even going to make a big deal out of this, but she insisted on pouring beer on me. No matter how forgiving I am, I deserve an explanation, don't I? Is that so? Christopher turned to me, a hint of a smile on his lips. Did you pour beer on her? Christopher, I heard you used to have a crush on Isabella back in school. I don't want to speak ill of her in front of you, but she's gone too far. Just because she's jealous that I'm with Benjamin, she deliberately caused trouble and ruined my clothes and bag. You've always come from a good family, so you should recognize the brands I'm wearing, right? Emma said, clearly trying to make her case. Are you jealous of Emma? Christopher asked me, frowning. What do you think? I retorted. There's not much to be jealous of, Christopher said nonchalantly. Emma didn't like that. Christopher, don't tell me that after all these years, you still like Isabella? Yes, I do, that hasn't changed, Christopher admitted openly. The other classmates were shocked. None of them knew that Christopher and I were married. The truth is, Christopher had pursued me for many years, but I didn't agree to be with him until recently. I didn't want to go through another marriage like the one I had with Benjamin, where there were no major issues, but it felt suffocating. Later I gradually realized that Christopher was different from Benjamin. I didn't need to keep living in the past, you have to look forward at some point. Plus my parents had started urging me to get into a relationship and get married, so I agreed to date Christopher and we registered our marriage earlier this year. Not long after we registered, I found out I was pregnant, so we postponed the wedding and hadn't had a chance to tell anyone yet. I only came to this reunion because of her, Christopher said directly. Then turned to me, so what's the situation now? I forgot my bank card password, can you transfer 450,000 yuan to Benjamin's account to compensate Emma? I replied. Give me the account number, Christopher said, pulling out his phone. Emma was stunned. Benjamin's expression also visibly darkened. Christopher, this is between us and Isabella, you'd better not get involved. Isabella, this is too much, you ruined my clothes and now you're making Christopher pay. Do you really think Christopher is some kind of fool just because he likes you? You're treating him like... Emma protested. They all knew that Christopher came from a wealthy family. Back in high school he was already being driven around in a Mercedes. I want to, Christopher said with a smug tone. If she needs me, I'm more than willing. Emma was so angry she couldn't even speak. She had intended to embarrass me. As for why she disliked me so much, I had no idea. After all, Benjamin and I were over ages ago, so there was no reason for any hard feelings. Is this the account number? Christopher asked, confirming it with Benjamin after inputting the details. Benjamin glanced at it but said nothing, his face dark. Christopher didn't delay and transferred the money. Benjamin received a text notification confirming the deposit. Emma leaned over to check and said in disbelief, Christopher, you really paid Isabella's 450,000 yuan? What else did you expect? Christopher said impatiently. Now that the money's been paid, can you please go back to your seat? Emma gritted her teeth, she looked over at Benjamin, but Benjamin said nothing, his face still dark, and walked away. Emma quickly followed him back to their original seats. Benjamin grabbed the remaining cigar in front of him and started smoking again. The class monitor was trying to get everyone to eat and drink. Christopher sat beside me, frowning as he watched Benjamin smoke. Sorry, Benjamin, but my wife is pregnant, could you please not smoke indoors? Benjamin paused, he didn't immediately register Christopher's words. Emma was equally surprised and quickly asked, Your wife? Who's your wife? Isn't it obvious? Christopher smiled lightly. He casually put his arm around me and introduced us confidently, we just registered our marriage, so we haven't had the wedding yet. We didn't get a chance to tell everyone because Isabella unexpectedly got pregnant, so the wedding will be delayed. You married Isabella? Emma's voice went sharp. Is there a problem? Christopher asked. Emma was instantly embarrassed, her face flushing with shame. Just moments ago she had been arrogantly saying that I was jealous of her being with Benjamin and mocking me for having no money. But it was common knowledge that Christopher had been a standout even in school, not only because of his wealthy background, but also because he consistently ranked at the top of the class. After graduating from university, he started his own business, and his current success in business wasn't any less than Benjamin's, perhaps even surpassing it. The only difference was that they had developed their careers in different cities, so they hadn't really crossed paths, but both of them must have heard of each other's achievements in their circles. That's why Emma was now so mortified. The way the surrounding classmates looked at Emma also changed suddenly, they saw her as someone who looked down on others based on money. Of course, I never intended to flaunt anything by being with Christopher. What I valued in him was never his wealth, status, or position, but rather that we were like-minded. Living through another life, I deeply understood how important it is for two people to share the same values, otherwise even the most beautiful love will eventually be buried in the grave of marriage. After Christopher announced our relationship, all our classmates eagerly toasted us. Christopher protectively said, "My wife can't drink alcohol, she can only have milk, got it?" "We wouldn't dream of acting like some people who use their money to bully others," one classmate quipped sarcastically. In an instant, the mood among the classmates shifted completely. Emma's face turned an even deeper shade of unpleasant. She looked at Benjamin with a pitiful expression, hoping he would say something on her behalf, but Benjamin wasn't even looking at her, instead his gaze was fixed directly on me. I didn't want to engage, but Benjamin's stare was making me uncomfortable, so I turned to meet his eyes. Benjamin's eyes were slightly red, as if he were very angry. I couldn't understand what he was so upset about. Isn't it best that everyone is doing well on their own now? Christopher seemed to notice Benjamin's look too. He chuckled lightly. "Is Mr. Song displeased with my marriage to Isabella?" Benjamin averted his gaze, crushed the cigar in his hand angrily, and drank his wine in silence. Christopher didn't waste any more time on him, instead wrapping his arm around me and joining our classmates. Everyone was congratulating us. They said that after so many years, Christopher had finally won me over. They also commented that Christopher and I were a perfect match made in heaven. The reunion was lively and cheerful, unaffected by the earlier unpleasant incident. In fact, with Christopher's arrival, the atmosphere improved even more. Everyone's attention was on Christopher and me, leaving Benjamin and Emma, who had previously been the center of attention, out in the cold. The two of them became unexpectedly low-key, and before the reunion even ended, Benjamin stormed out, slamming the door behind him. Emma hurriedly chased after him. "What's up with him suddenly getting all upset?" one classmate said, looking at Benjamin's retreating figure with confusion. Another classmate chimed in, "He probably thinks he's something special because he's been in the big city for a few years. We were just being polite and giving him some face, and he actually thought he was some kind of big deal." I don't envy Benjamin at all. Sure, he's done well in the big city, but that doesn't mean he has to act all high and mighty around us, like we're somehow beneath him. Exactly, everyone has their own way of living, and no one is better than anyone else. The classmates were clearly annoyed with Benjamin's attitude today. But I was used to it. Benjamin had always looked down on people from small cities. He believed that people from small towns were inexperienced and on a different level. After the reunion, Christopher and I sat in the car. Christopher had drunk a bit and was slightly tipsy. He said with a bit of jealousy, "It seems like Benjamin hasn't forgotten about you." "Impossible," I said with certainty. "He just couldn't stand to see me doing well." In his eyes, since I stayed in a small city, I was supposed to waste my life and live in regret forever. But he didn't expect that I would actually settle down here and be content. Now he finally realized that all these years apart, I wasn't just trying to spite him. Christopher didn't say anything more. He simply held me tightly in his arms and whispered in my ear, "I should thank him for letting you go back then." Back then, it's hard to say who let go of whom. I've always thought it was a mutual decision, so I never held any resentment toward Benjamin. If he hadn't appeared in front of me today, I probably would have completely forgotten about him. However, the next day I received a call from Benjamin. He said, "Isabella, let's meet." I refused outright. "What's there left for us to meet about? I'm at Iceland Cafe, waiting for you." With that, Benjamin hung up the phone. He seemed certain that I would come, just like in the previous life. He could always accurately predict my behavior. And in our past disputes, whether I was right or wrong, things always ended up as Benjamin wanted. Otherwise, I wouldn't have spent the last 10 years of our previous life living with him in a different city. This time I did go, just as he expected. There was a slight curiosity about what he wanted, and to make it clear that after this, we would have no further contact. I walked into the cafe. When Benjamin saw me, I noticed a victorious smile in his eyes. In his mind, I was still that easy to control. I sat down in front of him and got straight to the point. "What do you want? Cappuccino or mocha?" Benjamin asked me. "Just water," I replied bluntly. "I'm pregnant, so I can't have coffee." I saw Benjamin's expression change slightly, but he said nothing. He ordered a glass of water for me from the waiter. He then said, "Isabella, I didn't expect you to end up with Christopher. Didn't you say you didn't like him back in school?" "People change," I said coldly. Didn't you reject Emma's confession back then, but now you're with her? That's because. Benjamin started to say but didn't finish. I wasn't interested anyway, so I said, marriage is something only the people involved can truly understand, only they know if it fits. What do you mean? Are you saying our marriage in the previous life wasn't a good fit? Benjamin asked angrily. What else? I admitted openly. Otherwise, why would we have gone our separate ways? I was just teaching you a lesson, Benjamin said angrily. I wanted you to realize that your stubbornness in our past life was wrong. Once you regret it and come back to me, we can make things right. I just looked at Benjamin. I didn't laugh, I wasn't angry, I just felt resigned. I asked him, somewhat baffled, why do you have such a sense of superiority? Because everything I did was right, Benjamin said firmly. My choices were correct. Look around at our classmates, how many of those who stayed in the small city have really made it big? Yes, Christopher is doing well, but that's only because of his family background. Without his family's help, Christopher would be nothing. Only I, through my own efforts, have succeeded in the international metropolis. The more Benjamin talked, the more agitated he became. I sipped my water, now not interrupting him. Only when he noticed my silence did he angrily ask, why aren't you saying anything? What's the point of me saying anything if you believe everything you say is right? Isabella, there's no need for sarcasm. Is it so hard for you to acknowledge someone else's success? Yes, you are indeed very accomplished, I acknowledged. It's not easy to survive in a foreign city on your own, let alone thrive as Benjamin has. I saw an uncontrollable satisfied smile spread across Benjamin's face. I continued, I've never thought your ambitions were wrong, I've never denied your achievements. Looking at the world's development, it certainly needs people like you who are driven and contribute greatly to society. But Benjamin, just because your choices are right, does that mean others' choices are wrong? What gives you the right to judge or even mock other people's lives? You've gained experience in the big city, improved your life, and made greater contributions to society, which is your responsibility to society. But where is your responsibility to your family? Have you ever thought about your parents? Don't they want you to stay by their side? Yes, you've given them enough money to live comfortably, but at a certain age, people realize that some things are more important than money. Before I could finish, Benjamin cut me off. Isabella, I don't want to hear your sermons. Of course, he was never going to listen to my thoughts. In his mind, once he's decided something, no one can change it. That's why I realized how important it is for two people to share the same values. I didn't say anything more. We sat in silence for a moment, then Benjamin spoke suddenly, Isabella, I'll be direct. I came to see you today to ask if you would come back with me. I was stunned, thinking I had misheard. Seeing my expression, Benjamin sighed, yes, consider this me making the first move. If you come back with me now, we can pretend the last 10 years never happened. The only condition is that you get rid of the child. I was silent for a long time, trying to process what Benjamin had said. I thought Benjamin had asked to meet today just to show off how well he was doing and how much I had lost by leaving him. I came here today to tell him that I'm doing great and have never regretted it for a second. I never imagined he would ask for a reconciliation. We're already living in two completely different worlds. Too happy to speak, Benjamin raised his eyebrows, misinterpreting my silence. Benjamin, are you out of your mind? I finally couldn't hold back, my voice rising. Benjamin's face turned dark. I'm married now and I'm pregnant. I have a stable and happy family, and you already have a fiancé and have established yourself in the big city, and now you're asking me to be with you? I was genuinely shocked. Is it that I can't acknowledge your success, or is it that you can't stand to see me doing well? Benjamin looked embarrassed by my words and retorted, Isabella, I know you've been holding a grudge against me for the past 10 years, just because I didn't fulfill your wish to return to our hometown back then. Fine, I'm willing to make amends, I'll go back, deal with my work, and then return to stay with you near your parents. I looked at Benjamin in silence. Benjamin thought I was considering his offer and generously added, I know it might be difficult for you to make a decision right away. I'm leaving the day after tomorrow, so you can give me your answer by then. There's no need to wait until the day after tomorrow, I can give you my answer now. Benjamin looked at me, surprised. You've already decided? He asked. There's nothing to think about, Benjamin. I have my own life now, we've been done for a long time. The moment we were reborn, we made our choices. I don't need you to sacrifice your life in the big city or your ambitions for me. Isabella, you'd better think carefully before you speak. I'm not going to make this offer again. If your purpose today was just to say that, then there's no point in wasting more time. I said as I stood up. Goodbye forever, Isabella. Benjamin grabbed my arm, panic flashing in his eyes. I've come this far and you're still not satisfied, he demanded angrily. What do you mean come this far? Do you think that after 10 years apart, we can just get back together with a single word from you? What makes you think that's possible, Benjamin? So what do you want me to do? Benjamin gritted his teeth. I'll do my best to satisfy you. I don't need anything from you, I just need you to stay away from me. Isabella, enough with the attitude. Let's just say I'm being stubborn. I knew I couldn't make him understand, nor did I care what he thought. I'll continue being stubborn, so don't waste any more time on me, Mr. Song. Isabella, what do you really want? Benjamin was on the verge of losing it. Do you want me to get on my knees and beg to admit that I still love you, that I can't live without you? I looked at Benjamin, his words today completely overturned my perception of him. Seeing my sudden silence, Benjamin softened his tone. Think of the past 10 years as just a dream, let's start over. I only left back then because I was upset with you, not because I didn't love you anymore. How could it have been just a moment of spite? I sneered. You simply followed the path you wanted, and now that you found it's not as fulfilling as you thought, you want to go back and start over. Benjamin was visibly upset, almost furious. When did I ever say I regret anything? With my current success, why would I need to regret anything? At my word, Emma would jump at the chance to have my child. How you feel doesn't matter to me in the slightest, I said. The moment you decided to follow Emma to study in another city, we no longer had any connection. Isabella, stop pretending, you just can't get over the fact that I left you back then. You just can't swallow your pride and reconcile with me, but I'm giving you an easy way out now. I did have a hard time accepting how decisively you left with Emma back then, I admitted. I did feel lost after we were reborn. I never expected Benjamin to make up his mind so quickly and so absolutely. I thought that after all our years together, he would have hesitated at least a little, but he didn't. During that time, I felt like a complete joke. From that moment on, I let go of all my feelings for you. I said, looking directly at Benjamin. If you hadn't suddenly appeared in front of me today, I probably wouldn't even remember you. Isabella, I don't care whether you believe me or not, but that's my honest thought. I hope you'll never appear in front of me again, disrupting my happy, fulfilling, and hopeful life. I forcefully shook off Benjamin's hand and walked away without looking back. I thought that after saying all that, after things ended so unpleasantly with Benjamin, we were completely done. I believed we would never have any more contact, even if we ran into each other by chance, we would just be strangers. But I didn't expect that half a month later, I would receive a message from Benjamin, Isabella, I'm back, and I'm not leaving again. I was stunned. I recognized the words, but suddenly I couldn't understand what they meant. Can we meet? I immediately turned off my phone. I convinced myself it was just a hallucination. But when I left work, I saw Benjamin standing at the entrance of my office, waiting for me. After I got pregnant, Christopher suggested that I stop working, but I felt it would be more boring to stay home, and I didn't want to risk prenatal depression, so I insisted on going to work. Isabella, Benjamin approached me, holding a large bouquet of flowers. I felt a wave of disgust. Didn't I make myself clear? I asked him. Didn't you say that I couldn't expect you to come back to me just because I asked? Well, now I've dealt with everything in the other city, and I'm back here for good. I promise I'll never leave again, Benjamin assured me. Do you really think that's all there is to it, that our relationship fell apart just because I wanted to go back home and you wanted to stay in another city? Otherwise, how could we have drifted apart when we loved each other so much? We drifted apart because we both made choices, because we both gave up on each other. I never gave up on you, Benjamin said agitatedly. I know you're doing well now, and Christopher treats you well. He's willing to stay in the city you love, and he can provide you with a good life. But I can give you all that too now. If you know I'm doing well, why are you still trying to interfere with my life? Because deep down, you really love me, Benjamin said with certainty. You only settled for Christopher because I left. Now that I'm back, you shouldn't go against your true feelings. I didn't mock Benjamin for his arrogance. After all, I did love him very much back then, which is why he has the confidence to say these things now. Benjamin, do you know that love can lead to disappointment and eventually fade away? I looked at him. Benjamin's eyes turned red. He probably didn't expect me to be so indifferent to him, indifferent to the point where he could no longer sense any emotion from me. In our past life, I followed you to another city, and you promised me we'd return home, but in the end, you said we'd never go back. I never doubted your pursuit of your career and life goals, especially since you did succeed. What angered me was that you shouldn't have lied to me. From the moment you asked me to go with you, you had no intention of coming back, did you? Benjamin tried to justify himself. I was afraid you wouldn't come with me. I really loved you and was scared of losing you. And after we were reborn, you didn't hesitate to follow Emma to another city. Did you not think about the possibility of losing me? Benjamin was at a loss for words. He said painfully, I thought you loved me enough to wait for me. I never imagined you would actually be with another man. So because I ended up with someone else, you couldn't accept it, and that's why you came back to find me? Isabella, I really do love you. Being with Emma was just a momentary infatuation. The one I've loved all along has always been you, Benjamin said with deep emotion. But his words only made me feel disgusted. You didn't love Emma, yet you wasted 10 years of her life. You say you love me, yet you demand that I submit to you. Now that you've realized everything is slipping out of your control, you start to panic and regret. Don't you think your behavior is despicable? I'm sorry, Benjamin suddenly apologized. He seemed unsure of how to defend himself. I'm sorry, Isabella, can you forgive me this time? I promise I'll never disappoint you again. Benjamin took out a ring from his pocket. It was the same ring he had intended to give to Emma for their wedding. He said, Isabella, do you remember this ring? When we got married in our previous life, we couldn't afford it, but I promised I would get it for you one day. I came back this time to ask for reconciliation, and I bought this ring especially for you. Do you know why Emma was so hostile to you at the reunion? Because she knew I was going to reconcile with you. I couldn't help but laugh. So at the reunion, he had planned to reconcile with me, but instead of showing kindness, his way of reconciling was to try to put me down, to make me beg to come back to him. I didn't want to say much more. I just looked at the ring and couldn't help but comment, I remember that even after you got rich in our previous life, you never gave me that ring. I was too busy back then. No, it's because you only realized the value of something after you've lost it. Even if that's my fault, even if it's all my mistake, Isabella, can you give me one more chance? Marry me, and we'll start over. This time, I'll give you everything you want. As he spoke, Benjamin knelt down and proposed to me in front of my office building. In our past life, I must have loved him too much, which is why he's so confident that if he turned back, we would reconcile as if nothing had happened. I shook my head and coldly rejected him. There's no chance. Isabella, I gave up my career in the big city for you. That was your choice, not mine, I interrupted him. And I've already told you, our separation wasn't mainly about the city, it was your actions time and again that made me feel cold. I can change. No, you won't. Everything you do has a purpose. I decided not to spare his feelings anymore. You knew I once loved you deeply, so you used that love to deceive me without restraint. You knew that even if I found out in the end, I would still forgive you. You didn't buy the ring because I wanted it, but because you wanted to use it to hold on to me, because you realized that I really don't care about you anymore. The reason you chose to stay isn't for me, it's because your parents are getting old and your mother suddenly fell ill. They need you to be here to take care of them. And Emma isn't willing to stay with you here, so you thought of me. I spoke calmly, I even smiled, because I realized that I really didn't care anymore. Even knowing Benjamin's impure motives didn't stir any emotion in me. I saw Christopher approaching from a distance, coming to stand by my side. I knew he was waiting for me. He respects all my decisions, and he has enough confidence because his love and care for me are something Benjamin could never match. Honey, can we go now? Christopher asked, holding me close. I nodded. I didn't even spare Benjamin another glance. We turned and walked away. I decided to stay because of you, not because of Emma, not because of my parents, Benjamin called out loudly behind us. I stopped and said, even if your reasons weren't what you say they are, I still wouldn't get back together with you, Benjamin. When love is gone, it's gone. Honestly, I couldn't even recall the happy moments I once shared with Benjamin. The happiness I now see in front of me is all thanks to Christopher. After that, I never gave Benjamin another chance to get close to me. I blocked his number and refused to answer any calls from unknown numbers. I also decided to quit my job. Christopher had always been worried about me working while pregnant, saying he could take care of me, and that if I got bored at home, I could always work at his company. I had initially refused because I didn't want to rely on him too much, but now I deeply felt that we were truly a family. A few months later, I gave birth to a daughter. 6 months after that, Christopher and I held a grand wedding. We invited many old classmates, but of course, not Benjamin. When Christopher and I went to the classmates' table to toast, I overheard a conversation. Benjamin hasn't been back to the other city in over a year. I heard he and Emma broke up too. Benjamin's mother passed away a few days ago, another classmate added. Fortunately, Benjamin stayed home with her for more than a year, otherwise he would have regretted it forever. I attended the funeral the other day. Benjamin looked very different, not at all like the vibrant person he was at last year's reunion. He seemed lifeless. It said that his mother's greatest regret when she passed was not getting to hold a grandchild. Could it be that Benjamin still can't get over Emma? No, a female classmate whispered. Emma was willing to stay in their hometown for Benjamin's sake, and even tried to reconcile with him, but Benjamin refused. Emma said Benjamin couldn't forget. She glanced at me but didn't finish her sentence. She knew it wasn't appropriate to talk about such things at a wedding. I pretended I hadn't heard, calmly sipping my wedding wine and greeting our guests. After the wedding, Christopher and I returned home exhausted. I was so tired I didn't want to move. Christopher was sorting through the wedding gifts. Suddenly he called out to me, "Isabella, there's a personal envelope for you." "HM?" Christopher handed it to me. I saw the name Benjamin on the envelope. I hadn't seen him today. I looked at Christopher. He smiled and said, "I didn't see him either." I opened the envelope and found a ring inside. There was also a letter and about 8,888 yuan as a wedding gift. I unfolded the letter. "Isabella, congratulations on your wedding. I know you don't want to see me, but I couldn't resist coming to your wedding. I hope I didn't let you notice me. I just wanted to see you, to see if you were really happy. Maybe then I would finally give up, maybe I would finally face reality. You really don't love me anymore, not even a little. I was so arrogant to think that as long as I turned back, you would be waiting for me. You were right. When I left after we were reborn, it wasn't just out of spite. I always thought that without you, I could be happy with anyone else, that I could still live a good life. For the first few years, I did enjoy an unprecedented freedom. No need to consider your feelings, no need to be forced to eat breakfast, no one scolding me when I came home drunk from a business dinner, and no one urging me to go back to our hometown every day. But then one day, I started to miss you. I missed your cooking, missed how you would wait for me in the living room no matter how late I came home from work, missed how you would hold me tightly in your arms. I missed you for a long time, but I never came to find you. I stubbornly believed that you should be the one to give in between us, because your choice was wrong. Until I couldn't stand it anymore, I desperately wanted to be with you. I even started calling Emma by your name sometimes. So I came back and attended the reunion. When I saw you dressed so simply, I naively thought I had one. You seemed to be doing so poorly. If I asked you to come back to me, surely you wouldn't refuse. But reality slapped me in the face. There was no love left in your eyes when you looked at me. I thought I could use money to suppress you. I didn't expect that you had already married Christopher, and you were pregnant. You didn't lack money, nor did you lack love anymore. I started to panic. I didn't know what I could do to bring you back to me. I kept telling myself that you were just acting out of spite towards me by choosing Christopher, that I was the one you really loved. You loved me so much in our past life, it couldn't be that you just stopped loving me. So I shamelessly came to find you. I thought I still had a chance. Everything Christopher could give you, I could give you too, and you loved me more, so I thought you would be moved. Looking back now, I realized I was only humiliating myself. What right did I have to think that after abandoning you, you would still be waiting for me? I really am selfish and despicable. See, even now, I still want to tell you that giving up the big city was really for you, not for my parents, though I'm very grateful that I was able to spend my mother's last days with her. I know nothing I say matters anymore. I'm just so sad, Isabella, my heart hurts so much. I went to the hospital the day you gave birth. I saw Christopher holding your baby. I saw the joy on his face as he became a father for the first time, and it reminded me of the child we never had in our past life. I was really looking forward to having that child. I was ready to be a father, but in this new life, I missed my chance. I'm sorry, Isabella, I'm sorry. I wish you endless happiness. I looked at the letter with a mix of emotions. Benjamin's feelings now were probably similar to mine when we were first reborn, watching him leave without a backward glance, even though I kept telling myself to respect his choices, but in the quiet of the night, I would still break down, feel resentful, suffer, and struggle. But now it's all in the past. I don't know how long it will take Benjamin to move on, honestly, it doesn't matter anymore. I threw the letter into the trash. I didn't notice the words written on the back of the envelope. Isabella, I will be waiting outside your bridal chamber tonight, waiting for you. Christopher watched me with a smile as I tossed the letter. He said, honey, the night is young, and time is precious. We turned off the lights. The long night stretched ahead, never to be lonely again.